the not popping in Aegis, though, given what we're seeing in that.
You're watching the Eternal Tournament Series.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Eternal Tournament Series. This is Season 6, Week 1. We're in Round 3 of Swiss. I am Gabe, also known as Calimdir, and I'm joined here by Sir Rhino.
Hello. So here we are for Round 3. We've already seen a lot of awesome action. And it looks like we've got a couple of sweet decks in front of us here. Maybe some things we've seen before, but with a little bit of changes here and there.
Yeah, so compared to the last 2 rounds, now we're watching some 2-0 decks. We're seeing some of the more common metagame staples here in Elysian midrange, and then one of the slightly more off-meta builds in the super greedy Time Fire Primal version of like Fusion of Praxis and Elysian midrange that we've been getting more familiar with.
Yeah, TheSkeeJay calling it moist Praxis. It's basically just you take your Praxis core, your Amber Acolytes and things like that, and you cut a few threats here and there, notably no Dawnwalker in this build, and you get in False Prince, Cerso, and Crystallize by adding Primal, and also Permafrost, right? So the idea is up the quality of your threats slightly, but you make your power base worse, your influence costs a bit more difficult, but you also gain Permafrost, which can help you answer very large unit in the time mirror, which is what we're going to see here. On the other end, we've got Krizalio on Elysian midrange, which can go both tall or wide, right? You've got all these big efficient threats, Dawnwalker, False Prince, Sandstorm Titan, Cerso, but you've got a couple scouting party, and you have Xenon Obelisk to make all these large threats even larger. So the big differences between these decks is, or at least what I think as far as like the factor in this matchup is, Krizalio's access to Initiative of the Sands and his 2 factions. So theoretically is faster and more consistent than TheSkeeJay's 3-faction Praxis deck.
Yeah, typically I favor Elysian midrange versus Praxis just because of Crystallize and the speed and consistency. But, TheSkeeJay also has his own Crystallize, since we've got the Primal in there. So this could be pretty interesting depending on how TheSkeeJay's power turns out.
Yeah, a lot of times in these, aggressive-ish time mid-range decks, it's really about who gets the board established first, who just curves out cleaner. And we'll just kind of have to wait and see how that plays out there. It is notable on one end, we do have an option to help your units be bigger. That's Krizalio's end. But on TheSkeeJay's end, has 2 Shatterglass Mages to hopefully pick off that Obelisk if he needs to even up the board again. And we'll that's always an interesting dance to play as we see the players mulligan here, and Krizalio finds an Initiative Sands off the top of the deck, not exactly where you want, and instead opts to just play out the Temple Scrap.
And something I find interesting about the decks is that usually the Praxis deck or the 3-faction deck has to be a lot slower, but TheSkeeJay is actually playing False Princes as well, which I think is pretty, it's maybe greedy. It's a pretty rough influence requirement there, but he's got it, and he's got the False Prince.
Yeah, False Prince is rough on the influence, but not that much more. A Dawn, which also, requires double time. You just need that Primal on top of it. But TheSkeeJay has that here. Really what TheSkeeJay is missing out on right now is fire. Only 1 fire source in play right now in a deck that needs to hit triple fire for Heart of the Vault at some point. It's such a weird deck because even though we think it's Praxis splashing Elysian because you need triple fire for Heart of the Vault, the only other fire cards in the deck are Shatterglass Mage and Torch. You don't actually have that many fire cards in the deck. It's just Heart of the Vault is so hard on your power base that you have to play 4 fire sigils, more fire sigils than primal sigils in this deck, even if you're playing less fire cards than primal cards.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's so many good Elysian cards. That's why Elysian midrange is a thing. So when you start splashing primal, you're like, well, what if we just put in all the Elysian cards?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's worth it. Cerso and Crystallize are incredibly powerful cards. The cost is consistency. But the Sandstorm Titan comes out from TheSkeeJay after bashing in. Krizalio gets an Obelisk down, has another Obelisk in hand and a Crystallize. So normally you don't think of these anemic 1/1s as a way to finish the game, but it might get the job done here, especially off the back of double obelisk. Meanwhile, TheSkeeJay trying to dig for more power by using the Temple Scribe, and finds it. Doesn't find a fire source, but at least finds a 5th source of power. And now just debating on whether or not to play out the friendly wisp here or slow roll it.
Yeah, I think when you're this stretched for power, you just play out the cards when you get the time.
Wow.
And on TheSkeeJay's end, he's drawn the big units. Krizalio is trying to go wide here, and TheSkeeJay is playing much bigger units than Krizalio can deal with. And he's got another Sandstorm Titan ready for next turn. This Crystallize did a lot of work there from Krizalio's end, but there's a Sandstorm Titan still in the way, and another one coming down next turn. And then TheSkeeJay has his own Crystallize.
Yeah, Sandstorm Titan is normally a big unit, but next turn, all of these, currently 3/2 Amber Acolytes and 2/2 Temple Scribes and stuff are about to get +3/+3 more from Xenon Obelisk because we have this Amber Acolyte already in hand and Initiate. So Krizalio's small units are about to get a lot bigger here. But still, these Sandstorm Titans trump most of the board, just not the Amber Acolytes.
Yeah, until that 8th power came down, it was looking pretty good for TheSkeeJay, but now we've got Amber Acolytes that can trade with Sandstorm Titans, and it's going to be pretty difficult. This Carnosaur is going to find a target, and Crystallize is going to help, but still.
Yeah, because Crystallize here stuns the whole board for 2 turns. You get in for 15, and now Krizalio basically has to have a scouting. And instead just draws a power, and this game is now over.
Yep.
You might think you're safe at 20 health, but it turns out when your opponent I take that back. I forgot that this Initiative Sands would trigger Friendly Wisp because of the double obelisk, but even there,
still not enough.
Predatory Carnosaur not enough. But Krizalio did have a few more draw steps there that I forgot about. But yeah, you might 20 health sounds like a lot, or 19, whatever Krizalio is at, but when you're facing down 15 attack on the other end, it turns out that's not as much health as you thought, and Crystallize showing off why it can be so strong here.
Yeah, and he's just one blocker too short.
Yeah, that False Prince was stunned for a turn by Crystallize. Remember, we saw that from Krizalio to take out all those random 1/1s, but it turns out by using the Crystallize a little early, left himself exposed to the counter Crystallize from TheSkeeJay as Permafrost takes out another blocker just to be sure, and TheSkeeJay gets in for lethal.
And Crystallize showing off why it's such a good card and why it's worth splashing Primal, because the other option for going bigger is the big Praxis mid-range that we see with Mystic Ascendants, but this is the other perhaps more versatile option. Yeah,
like if you're in Praxis, like pure Praxis there, how do you come back from that board state? You basically can't, other than Shatterglass Mage taking out, the Obelisk or something. It's not like, imagine that Crystallize was an Obliterate instead, because you're traditional Praxis. You just have no shot at it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that game showed off, sometimes Praxis gets into these board stalls. They don't have a good way to catch up or, have a good response. And Crystallize breaks it. That's why Elysian was so good. And we see the Crystallize number coming up as we go to sideboarding here for TheSkeeJay. Notably, though, taking out a Shatterglass Mage. A little surprised by that, considering how important I consider the Shatterglass Mage versus Obelisk interaction to be. But apparently that was the card that TheSkeeJay's opting to cut here. Maybe they'll have a second thought here. But yeah, right now Shatterglass Mage down to just 1, and Heart of the Vault's the other thing getting trimmed out.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting sideboard choices to make. I don't think this Diogo would come in for him. I think it's a bit too slow. I think he just wants to be playing. He like the Obelisk gives Elysian a lot more mid range or a lot more late game than you would think. You'd think the Praxis deck would be favored as the game goes on, but Elysian just has a lot of inevitability.
Yeah, TheSkeeJay doing some more thoughts here. Interestingly enough, another card, Archive Curator. What do you think about that card in this matchup? I mean, there's silencing Dawnwalker's cool, and silencing Surso can be useful. Is that really worth boarding in here, though?
I like Archive Curator as a card, but in this matchup, I just don't think it does very much. I think it's more for something like a Statuary Maiden or something that really gives you trouble, or a ton of flyers.
Yeah, I am not convinced that that Archive Curator is going to do more work than something like Shatterglass Mage or even a Sand Viper, honestly, or Scorpion Wasp. So we'll see if that decision pans out, how TheSkeeJay plans on using that 1/4 flyer that silences as this game is underway.
And so on Krizalio's side, only 2 power, one of them being a monument. He's also got the initiative stance, but notably no primal influence, which could be pretty rough.
Yeah, again, we've said presumably the 2-faction deck is more consistent and faster, but here having to play out the depleted monument, not having a turn 2/3 drop off of initiate is disappointing for Krizalio. But at least can get a primal source off this Amber Acolyte, but instead opting to play out Friendly Wisp here, even with nothing to trigger it in hand.
I think maybe he's just desperate for to get it out now while he has a chance, and then play the Amber Acolyte next turn. I don't know. I really like getting the power, but I suppose it does increase his chances of drawing a power this turn by a really marginal percent.
Yeah, I'd rather have the guaranteed power. Amber source probably, gonna permafrost the False Prince from TheSkeeJay and beat in a bit here. On the other end, TheSkeeJay's got that Archive Curator we're talking about, also has double Crystallize, which could clean up this board if Krizalio doesn't play the Obelisk next turn, and TheSkeeJay also curves out into the Crystallize. So we'll just have to see what happens. TheSkeeJay, if it does play the Silence, either silences the Wisp or the Initiate, and we'll find out here.
So TheSkeeJay, in his super greedy 3-faction deck, has triple fire, double time, and double primal. He just needs, and he even has the 3rd time ready to go with that monument.
Yeah, we were talking before the game about how you go 3-faction, you can't afford to play any monuments because so much depleted power. But TheSkeeJay decided to play 1 Amber Monument, and we see it pop up in the hand as Krizalio plops down the Obelisk, buffs up the board. Now none of his board dies to these double Crystallize in TheSkeeJay's hand, and TheSkeeJay's got to find some counter pressure somehow.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing here, is that TheSkeeJay just doesn't have any relevant threats to play, other than now he's able to play this. This Rhino thanks to the 5th power.
Krizalio has the Dawnwalker with Zenith Initiation, or could it be and double Praxis's plays. It's just going to have absolutely massive tempo advantage for the next few turns, and we'll see how Krizalio opts to use all of these tools. Yep, we see the Zenith Initiation come down on Dawnwalker and takes out False Prince.
So I'm scratching my head a little bit there.
Yeah, that's an oddity. You've got a Rhino that's a 5/5 and not under permafrost, so not really sure what that was about.
Maybe he clicked a little fast. I mean, I think killing the False Prince eventually could be a burn spell or whatever, but not in a situation where you have other targets.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to just assume it was a misclick. Even if you're scared of another Archive Curator silencing their own False Prince, you still want to just kill the Rhino, which is also a False Prince, but not stun. So I'm gonna go ahead and assume that was a misclick and an unfortunate misplay from Krizalio, and that gives TheSkeeJay a chance to come back here as Sursos keep coming here. Even though the double Braxis Displacer doing what it can. But Krizalio really wishing this Rhino wasn't around units as he uses the displacers.
Yeah, Krizalio's been stuck on the go wide plan again. He hasn't drawn, and finally he draws a Sandstorm Titan to get back his Dawnwalker, but he's been mostly stuck on these sort of small weenie units.
Yeah, but opting to go with the displacer to bounce Surso again rather than plop down the Sandstorm Titan and get back Dawnwalker. Get TheSkeeJay down to 12, and TheSkeeJay's got to decide now, is he going to replay Surso, or is he... I think at 12, I don't think you panic and use Crystallize just yet, and instead try and set up Surso plus Crystallize as he draws another Surso here.
And these Sursos are super threatening. Sure, you can... Oh, actually, no, he's got the Obelisk, so that's actually pretty good blocks for Krizalio.
Yeah, but Krizalio is down to 8. We'll get back a Dawnwalker here, but it is exhausted and presumably about to get stunned. Again, Sandstorm Titan, though, can eat up the Rhino, but it can't do anything against this Surso. Even if it gets turned into a pig, it'll just be a 3/3 thanks to Obelisk, but that's still not big enough to stop this 6/6 overwhelm. So we'll see if TheSkeeJay opts to just use Crystallize here, or if he'll try and deploy another Surso instead. Oh,
Yeah, so
draws a Zenith initiation.
yeah, that's big. It lets him save his Crystallize a little bit, and then it lets him deal with the Sandstorm Titan, which means that everything is going to get hit by Crystallize. And or he could just attack with Crystallize.
We might still just see Crystallize.
Yeah.
Because if you use the Zenith initiation, that means the Dawnwalker with Killer is still active and on the loose. So instead, Crystallize locks up the whole board. Again, you are at 12. You got to be a little nervous about the crackback. So even though Zenith initiation is a clean way to deal with this Sandstorm Titan, that's not the name of the game. The name of the game is not deal with Sandstorm Titan. It's kill your opponent.
Yeah,
and TJ goes with the Crystallize.
Yeah, and Krizalio is very dead now, right? He can't really block this. He's going to go to 2, and then it's just another Crystallize in TheSkeeJay's hand. Krizalio would need some kind of miracle, like play the Temple Scribe, get a backlash off of it, and his draw for the turn would be something else relevant. Like
or something like a Crystallize of their own would presumably keep them alive. But again, because TheSkeeJay has things like another Crystallize in hand, or if he draws undepleted power, Surso plus Zenith initiation will be lethal now that Krizalio took the damage here, because why wouldn't he take the damage? So yeah, TheSkeeJay's in a pretty good spot here as Krizalio digs with Temple Scribe, finds Surso, and is very much dead.
Yeah, that's going to be a 2-0 for the triple faction deck. It ended up being that even though the influence was a little less consistent, the threats were more consistent, right? TheSkeeJay had more relevant threats on their own, whereas Krizalio was trying to build up this big board in pieces.
Yep. So TheSkeeJay gets to use Killer on Surso with backlash backup, double backlash backup, and yeah, that kills Krizalio, the overwhelm going over the pig and taking out Krizalio. So we're going to work on a backup match, and really I guess the story of that second game was that Dawnwalker misclick or misuse on the False Prince. If that 5/5 overwhelm that wasn't under permafrost, if that would have been off the board, I think we would have had quite a bit of a different racing scenario there, and maybe Krizalio could have closed it out on the back of those displacers on the Surso. But by having that extra 5/5 blocker, ended up being a little too much to overcome before TheSkeeJay turned it around with Crystallize.
Yeah, they ended up being a ton of damage, just that slight misplay.
Yeah, so we're working on a backup match. Ooh. Looks like we're going to be ducking in on Shed again, who's on what I like to call Stoke Scar, up against Mundungu. So let me see what his opponent is on as I type a lot.
And I have to admit, I'm a big fan of the Stoke Scar name. I think that's better than the Stone Scar Control.
Yeah, I called it Stoke Scar. I just wanted a deck called Stoke Scar. It was more of just like, I'm going to build Flame Stoker decks this week. Let's build Stoke Scar because it's the coolest name I can think of out there. And then it sprouted from that. But yeah, it looks like players are being held up. We're going to jump in and observe Shed, and we're going to get opponents info. Mundungu is on Praxis mid-range. So yeah, if you're playing Praxis and your opponent's got 4 Statuary Maiden, 3 Steward of the Past in their main deck, how do you feel?
I feel pretty good as Stone Scar. Let me tell you.
Yeah, you like Stone Scar in this matchup. Well, it's currently tied up 1-1. This is game 3 for match point, and it looks like players have resolved mulligans. We're just waiting for the action to go. We'll give them the go ahead. And we'll be operating from Shed's perspective, and double Quarry, Annihilate, double Maiden, not a bad place to be against Praxis mid-range. I'm guessing the Praxis mid-range player boarded out their Dawnwalkers, though.
Yeah, I feel like against this much Void Hate, that's something you might have to do.
Looks like I spoke too soon. That mulligans hadn't resolved yet, so Shed shipped that hand off and instead found a hand with a bit more power but a bit less Maidens.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Maidens, so I'm not sure I like this hand more. But he
Yeah.
does have more power, which is really going to be useful in this matchup because practice mid-range doesn't put on the pressure super quickly. So being able to just play out your stuff on time is going to be useful.
Yeah, having a hand with double maiden is nice against Praxis, but Shed may have felt, even though the hand had double quarry and 2 power to go with that quarry and cast the quarries, it still wasn't quite enough even on the draw. So yeah, Shed got rid of it, and now we'll just see both players play out their Seek powers and Varus favors and develop their influence here.
Yep, and I'm trying to get Mundungu's hand just so we can see what he's going on over there. But for now, it's a mystery. So Amber Acolyte coming down from the side of Mundungu, and I expected to get Varus favored back from Shed.
Yeah. Yep, Varus favorite comes out, deals with the 2/1 Amber Acolyte, gets a Shadow Sigil, and Shed has plenty of power, needs to find other action. So the big thing for this matchup, though, is Shed leans on Flamestoker as a win con, and Mundungu's practice mid-range list is playing 2 Shatterglass Mage main deck, none on the side. So it's just those 2 Shatterglass Mages as an answer to these Flamestokers. But we see Mundungu just plays on turn 4 a Xenon Obelisk. So still not under any pressure from Shed's side of the board, but not a great hand either. This Infernal Tyrant is a good card against Praxis, but not when it's actually smaller than their units.
Yeah, Infernal Tyrant is a big unit, but not, big enough to deal with Praxis. I think the biggest player in this matchup is that Shed is all premium and has an Ikaria avatar, whereas Mundungu, no premiums.
Yeah, Shed is a lover of Stonescar, played a lot of Stonescar mid-range before, like the Champion of Chaos nerfs and stuff that brought it down a peg. And when I debuted this Stonescar deck, he was in my stream chat just like gushing about how much he loved the idea of it. So I was hoping he would bring it to the ETS, and I'm happy to see him bring it and put his own take on it. And we see Dawnwalker is still in Mundungu's deck, despite facing down a Statuary Maiden and all that. And wow. I guess Mundungu just thought it made the cut even post-board. So, yeah, Infernal Tyrant comes down on Shed's end, gains him 2 life, gets a 6/6 lifesteal, which wears cudgels quite well. And wow.
And there's one of the Shatterglass Mages, means that it's going to be really hard for him to answer if Flamestoker if it comes down.
Yeah.
Also, it's just really hard for him to attack right now.
Yeah, and now this Infernal Tyrant could become a 6/6, or you could put the cudgel on the Maiden. But yeah, opts to take the Infernal Tyrant out of Obliterate range. This is now an 8/8, whereas Maiden would have to get 2 cudgels before it gets out of Obliterate range, and that is the big number, 6. Because once you get to 7 health, it's really hard for a Praxis to actually kill your units. They can maybe swing into them once the Obelisk makes them big enough. But in the meantime, now the wall is up. This is an 8/8 lifesteal from Infernal Tyrant, and Mundungu, might have the 8th power to push this Obelisk up, but that's still a lot of work. And even once they deal with it, assuming it trades with a unit, that's more cudgels for Shed here.
Yeah, and if you get to 7 life, it's a big deal, especially on a deadly unit, because then you don't care about combat and you can't die to any of their removal. But there's the Obliterate that we were talking about.
Yeah. So Obliterate comes down, and Shed finds a Sleepless Night, another nice addition to like bigger Stonescar decks, where if you're flooding in this situation, you just throw those cards away, draw 4 new ones. Sleepless Night then goes back into the top 10 cards of your deck. When it shows up again, you'll discard your hand and draw 4 more. So just digging for more stuff, and oh man, Mundungu has the Praxis Displacer, and now Shed is in trouble.
Yeah, Shed is in trouble, and these Suffocates still being in really rough because oh my goodness.
Oh, wow. Some bad luck there for Shed. Gets the Infernal Tyrant bounce the hand and immediately gets discarded. But he finds a lot more useful items here in Extract, Annihilate, and Death Strike. So the rest of the hand gets a pretty big upgrade, and at least doesn't have to worry about Sleepless Night showing up again.
You say it's bad luck, but he was in a really rough spot there, and now he actually has some answers, right?
Yeah, it might feel like bad luck, but a lot of that hand was garbage, and now this hand is quite the upgrade.
But he's still facing down so much damage, I'm just not sure.
Now he knows a Statuary Maiden's coming, can just hold up Death Strike here, take out the Shatterglass Mage on this swing. get down Maiden with Annihilate up next turn, get a Cudgel, get this Infernal Tyrant set back up. Not a bad spot, but again, Praxis is going to have more threats, but not this turn. Mundungu just passes.
Yeah, so now he's able to put, if this Infernal Tyrant gets to hang out here for a little while, he's going to be able to put his life total somewhere that is out of reach of Mundungu. And Mundungu is out of cards, so he really needed that not to happen. Once he's safe, there's no good draws for Mundungu.
So Mundungu there crucially uses a Purify in response to the Annihilate to deny a Cudgel. And now Shed gets out the Flamestoker. But Flamestoker's not great here. It's okay, but again, Praxis can actually block, right? It's got an Obelisk, it has large units. But crucially, even when it has bigger units, it means things like Torch now trade up, right? You can view this this Infernus here as a way to make your Torch do 8 damage. And yeah, Mundungu recognizes that and just instead opts to not block.
Yeah, wow, and the Steward of the Past taking care of that Dawnwalker with the Torch. And he's going to be able to play the Infernal Tyrant with the Infernus on the battlefield next turn and be able to get the extra 2 life off of that, gaining a total of 6 just from playing it.
Yep. So Shed could have been patient, not used Torch there, but instead didn't want to risk Mundungu drawing, like, say, another Obelisk and Torch becoming completely dead. So...
oh, man, here comes the Pilfer.
Yeah. I did not play Pilfer in my version of the deck, but apparently Shed knows something I don't. And,
yeah, he knows that he likes a non-premium Fire Sigils. That's what he knows.
Yeah, that is a rough go of it. I think I may have used Infernal Tyrant pre-combat.
Yeah, I
2 extra life, but
I don't think bluffing was that valuable there.
But yeah, taking a Fire Sigil, the best hit against a Praxis deck. Really hoping to find something like instead there, right? Make your Infernuses 7/7s or something.
Yeah, Obelisk, Obliterate, Heart of the Vault. You know, there's a few cards I can think of that are better than Fire Sigil.
Yeah, so Shed just now hoping to find more removal or another Maiden. Already found 2 Maidens, so only 2 more left in the deck. And in the meantime, Mundungu wants to have counter pressure, but again, that Flamestoker is going to make a 5/5 every turn. So this is going to come down to who draws better here. And I'm not actually sure who's favored. Right now, Shed, though, is certainly ahead on board.
That Stray is not terrible, yeah.
Yeah, so here's something we alluded to before where you can just swing with the 5/5 if they block again. Now Stray clears the whole board and keeps 2 of your units alive.
Yeah, and you still have the Flamestoker.
Yep. So Flamestoker plus a Stray was one of my favorite combos here, but it looks like Shed's just opting to do it pre-combat and maybe just a space.
I think that's a fair just put the pressure on. I think it's a fair line to take.
Yeah. You could have also just hit a space and then strayed post-combat. The problem there is the Dawnwalker then would probably dodge the Stray. So this way you're pushing through a little bit more damage, but you're also losing your Infernal Tyrant. But, you know, trade-offs there. It means you get through some extra damage.
And this Temple Scribe is actually pretty relevant here, shutting off that Steward of the Past, just putting it on defense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it is not bigger than the 5/5 coming out of the Flamestoker. That would have been the other argument for holding on to that Stray, was if for some reason they magically start playing around Stray into Shadow, you're still hitting them for 5 every turn with the Infernus until they finally relent and block. But again, Shed went with the aggressive line, and now we'll see if he goes with another aggressive Annihilate. I doubt we'll see that happen here.
No, I think Shed values Annihilate a little bit more than this Temple Scribe.
Yeah. I could honestly see the offering the trade, though, for this Temple Scribe with Steward, if you know your opponent's playing things like Purify and Torch. But again, just opting to make them answer the Steward with and hopefully they don't. Oh, instead gets an Obliterate out. That's nice.
Yeah, Obliterate's a pretty big deal, but I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know what the last card in Mundungu's hand is. I'm sure it's a unit. Yeah, okay. It's a blocker for that Flamestoker.
Yep, but we'll see the Annihilate come out. Shed could have waited to use the Annihilate to Statuary Maiden, because that would have given him lethal, but opted to just use the Annihilate right away. Take Mundungu to 1, has a Death Strike in hand, and this does not look good for Mundungu. They're going to need to get a Heart of the Vault or some sort of warp chain going here, or they are dead.
Yeah, I mean, they need some blocker for this Flamestoker that doesn't die to Death Strike, which is pretty rough. Pretty rough thing to try and do.
All right. Right now, Shed has lethal. We'll probably see a Quarry pre-combat, though, to try and find some other things. And Extract can just point at the face for lethal anyway. Or at the, wherever you want to point.
All right, Shed.
Wherever you want to point it works. Who cares? And yeah, Shed gets the match 2-1. Goes to the 3-0 bracket on the back of Pilfer Scar.
Yeah, Pilfer was the all-star there.
Pilfer Scar. Yeah, absolute all-star. Sometimes it could even be a non-premium fire sigil. Just absolutely.
I feel like if you're gonna steal a basic sigil, it should at least be an off-faction one, right?
Yeah.
You should just have that extra random faction influence show up. But no, let us down.
Yeah. But again, the deck showing off its power there. Sleepless Night doing a lot of work. Flamestoker, Statuary Maiden, and removal. I mean, that is a time deck's nightmare. And that was kind of the point of the deck, was just eat up other unit-based decks, because you just get a 5/5 every turn, and that'll eventually opponent. So good stuff from Shed, but also good on their opponent there. Still in the 2-1 bracket, very much alive for top 8, as we're only halfway done with the Swiss, and we'll return in just a moment for round 4 action.
Catch you then.